the big monuments, the so-called pyramids that we call right now, is the Pyramid of the Moon at the end of the avenue and the Pyramid of the Sun. And there was distribution among the city. According to Linda Manzanilla, that she's from UNAM, the city was divided in 4 districts, and every district had a central neighborhood. So you can see the same map, you can see the central grid, or the axis of the city, and then we have the 4 glyphs that she found in a clay pot in Teotihuacan a few years ago that marks different, supposed to be the rulers of those districts that had different like pelts or things that distinguished them in that area. For example, a jaguar, a canine, a snake, and in the, for example, in the paintings, those motifs are represented and it's very common to have them fighting in between them. So it's probably like a political fight. The city, it was divided in districts, but at the same time, the districts were divided in apartment compounds. You can see an example in this slide of an apartment compound. This is the isometric view. And most of the apartment compounds had an entrance. Then they were divided in different patios or different areas, and they all had a temple. For example, in the reconstruction we had underneath from the same apartment building, we have a central altar, and then you have the temple. The temple are slightly above the ground level. This is just one example of one of the apartment buildings. In Teotihuacan, there were over 2,000 apartment buildings like this surrounding the main area. So the population of the city around the year 500, it was estimated to be around 120,000 inhabitants. Right now, we had made new projections of the possible amount of inhabitants of the city, and we estimate that maybe the city had around 350,000 to 500,000 inhabitants. Maybe only the people that were the real Teotihuacans, over 150,000. So Teotihuacan was, in certain way, an state capital. And you can see in this map the area that possibly was under the influence of the city. So you have the central area, what after was known possibly as the Aztec Empire, around 500, 600 years later. And then we have, in the south, we have the Zapotec, Oaxacan area, the Gulf of Mexico area, and the Western area that it was. And a little bit more to the south, in the area of Central America, we have the Mayans. It's very curious because we have interaction with all these cultures. There's presence of all these cultures in the city. We have found evidence of this. I will talk to you about that in a moment. So this is a picture of the Avenue of the Dead, and underneath we have what represents the capital of the Zapotecs, that is called Monte Alban. So this is a view from the Pyramid of the Moon. The Pyramid of the Moon is one of the most famous monuments. If you visit the site, you will see it at the end of the avenue, and it's located in the north side of the city and facing south. You can also see the Pyramid of the Sun over here. The Pyramid of the Moon is not so big. It's 45 to 46 meters tall, and it's around 236 meters per side. This is the Pyramid of the Sun. No, the Moon Pyramid, sorry. And a few years ago, we found evidence of another tunnel that is underneath the pyramid. It's quite curious that, for example, for the Teotihuacans, the underworld, and also the stars were very important, but mostly the underworld, because the underworld was a pathway to the past for the foundation of the city. So we had found tunnels underneath the Pyramid of the Sun, underneath the Quetzalcoatl building or the Quetzalcoatl temple, and also very recently underneath the Pyramid of the Moon. pyramid of them. And this is a Quetzalcoatl temple. I only have a very bad quality picture, but it's very interesting to, in the future, if you want to visit the site, you can contact me and I can give you a personal shell. Okay, so I told you that Teotihuacan had interaction with different areas of the ancient Mesoamerican world. And most of this interaction was made with commerce. And over here, we have some examples of the artifacts and the items or the things you can find in Teotihuacan that are not from that area. And for example, we had found bones of exotic animals like jaguars. We had found cocoa seeds. We had found seashells from the area of Oaxaca. We had seashells from the Caribbean Sea. We had jade from Central America. We had cotton from the Maya areas. And they were not just small pieces. Sorry. In 2013, we found these massive monoliths at the Plaza of the Moon. They were there, and we found 4 of these. Sorry, and every one of these weighed over a ton, half a ton, sorry, and they were brought from an area that used to be around 400 kilometers from Teotihuacan. This is what Teotihuacan gave to these people. It was not only they received all these exotic goods, but they also gave in exchange something. And what they gave was the obsidian, not so far from Teotihuacan, around 6 kilometers, like 2 miles from there, 3 miles from there. We found the Otumba source of obsidian. Obsidian is a crystal volcanic rock. And what made it so special and so that everybody wanted this is the quality of the obsidian. And not only that, it's that it's very sharp. You can easily cut a pelt or the skin of an animal, the skin of a human. You can use it as a multi-tool. So it was the iron for that time. As you know, most of the Mesoamerican cultures, they didn't develop the use of metals till very late, around, I'm telling you, around the year 1200 AD. This is other examples of the interaction that Teotihuacan had with other sites. For example, we have this type of bows, boats that we call estucados, that their presence is mostly common in the Maya areas. This was made with Teotihuacan clay and with Teotihuacan technique, and it was found in the site. The masks are also very common in the area, and they were from other regions, and then they took them as their own. This one over here is what we call theater type incense pot. And they were also quite common in the area of the Maya lands. In terms of politics, we are not quite sure of what is going on there. Why is that this doubt? It's because we don't have evidence of a writing system, or we have it, but we don't understand it. So we're still trying to decipher this. We have some writing system, we have some evidence of the rulers, but they're not even in Teotihuacan, they're in other cities, like from Montalban. We have the Bazan carvings on this side, and we have this bone, this carpet bone, limestone, that it was found in Montalban too. And that shows a ruler with a Teotihuacan outfit going to this city. And he's being received by possibly the king of that area. And that's the only thing we had. We had mural paintings, we had recreations of what possibly could be the high priest, but they were never solos or by themselves. They were as many, they were represented in many, in a line, like in a procession. So it's very difficult to determine who ruled the city. We also believe that maybe it was some type of a corporate government, that it was ruled by the different districts and they co-rule the city from behind the pyramid of the sun, where there's a site that is called Shala that Linda Manzanilla from UNAM is working. About religion, there was a lot of code to the supernatural and the natural phenomena that they couldn't explain. For example, the rain, the sun, the moon, all these phenomena had a face. And the most important one was the one related to the water. So the god of rain, or the god of storms, that is also called Tlaloc by the Aztecs or Cosigo by the Zapotecs, is represented here and over here in a different way. So religion was very important for these people, and also human sacrifice. That is another theme that we can explore in the near future. One of the areas that we have been working with, in this case with Veronica Ortega and I, since 2012, is the Oaxacan neighborhood, or the Oaxacan barrio. That is a site that is located around 5 kilometers from the 3 kilometers from the central area of the city, around 2 miles from there. And we had found evidence of presence of Zapotecs or Oaxacans, if we can call. Like, this is the god of maize that is called, and this one is called Xipetotet. That is the one that took the skin of the sacrifice and is wearing it. And where is this presence of Oaxacans? This is the main axis of the city. You can see at the center, the pyramid of the sun. The citadel is underneath. The moon pyramid. This is the area we call La Ventilla. And all these triangles that you can see here shows that the places where we had found Oaxacan artifacts, mostly ceramic. But most important in this area is the western area that we call the Oaxacan neighborhood. And it was found in the 1960s. So you can see another slide here. And this is where we had found the most of those. And we had found presence. So we have different diggings taking place there. The last one was in 2016, but it was very early when they found this Oaxacan presence in the area. So we continued to research the area, and we started to find elements that shows this. The same sculpture of this Oaxacan god. We have this signature stela that shows this carving of a sign that is called the 4 lizard eye, that is very common in the area of Oaxaca. And in the diggings we made in between 2012 and 2016, we started to find the people that lived there. I was in charge of looking at those people. And for example, we have a partial view of a burial on this slide. You can also see the feet of this person because he was cut possibly by another digging or looters. But we found some of the ceramics, some of the offerings that they were placed there. This one is another one, very bad condition. And this is the area where we were working. Why do we have so many looting? Because we were in between people. We were working in between the neighborhood of people that live there in modern times. So we just have to ask for permission for the owners to let us dig there. And we were trying to rescue whatever was underneath. And for example, this is the site called CL11. And we found tombs in a very Oaxacan style. This is the entrance of one of those tombs. You can see also the offerings that they made here. We also have the presence of animal bones that they were eaten by these people, and they were also offered. This is some of the offering that they found there. This is the tomb that we found, part of that tomb. They're very Oaxacan style. And this is one of the most complete offerings that we had. Sorry, it's a man that was in an extended position and had this offering that you can see here. This is very, very interesting. It was found also in 2012. And there are two canines. It's a breed between dogs and a wolf, and they were facing each other. This is not a very good reconstruction, but I made this reconstruction just to make an example of how they were placed in the burial. They were just facing each other, and they were like kissing or touching their noses. This is how the Teotihuacans, and in this case, Teotihuacans and Oaxacans, put them in the site. We also found this urn fragment that is in a very Oaxacan style that only represents the lower part of the figure. This is the area we're working on. You can see some of the pictures. And there were also some people that they were actually decapitated and placed as an offering to the construction, when the construction was covered to build a new one. In this case, these two skulls were from men, and they were not actually from this region. The test we made on the shape of the face of the skull pointed that they were not from this region. They were not from Oaxaca. They were possibly from the north of Mexico. So they were brought here possibly as slaves, and then they were sacrificed and offered to the site. This is another slide from the same burial. Other of the room, we found this magnificent burial that it was dismembered, and they also placed a small urn on one of the sides, in one of the corners. This is the burial, and this is the urn. It's a very small urn, just it fits in the hand. And what we found beside it were these bones that they were carved, and they were used as musical instruments. A few years ago, we made an experiment with one of those bones, and actually was a trumpet made with the femur bone. This is the same. Another. This is from another site, scale 69, and we found this couple of people. This is the woman, and this is the man. The woman had their kids on the top. Okay. And with just some slides you can see here. Just very briefly, this is one of the most important ones we found. And this woman had the only prosthetic teeth that we had found in Mesoamerica till now. It was made of jade and it was removable. These are the urns and some of what we're doing right now. Well, pretty much like a small introduction of what we do. If you have any questions, I will try to answer it right away. And if you have any other doubts, doubts, I can give you, or I can send you some of the any books or what you're doing at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me see if there are questions.
May I?
Yeah.
I would like to make a question.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, okay. So, because there is no Q&A questions, I would like to know the following. About astronomy and about the vision of this civilization involving universe and the planets and the stars and so on. What you can say about, in connection with the Peruvians, they have a lot of cultural aspects involving astronomy and so on. And so in Mexico, what we can say about?
Okay, well, Teotihuacan was planned using an astronomical sighting. For example, the whole avenue of the city is located from north to south, and we believe that they use the North Star to place their buildings, or to orientate their buildings. And as most of the Mesoamerican cultures, they use the stars and they use the planets to mark their life. and to mark for example, their crop cycles. For example, the corn. They use Venus to mark this when it's hidden or when it's not visible, and it will come back. So most of this, and we have the evidence of this in the mural walls. We have some mural walls that represent this movement. We also have found evidence of astronomical markers in different areas of the city that shows the possibly the signing of this. And in 1994, behind the Pyramid of the Sun, is still, you can visit that area if we ask for permission. There's an astronomical place that has a hole in the top. It's a carved tunnel that has a hole in the ceiling. And around the 21st of May, when the sun is at the zenith, a ray comes from there and it illuminates a rock that is in the center of the cave. So it's not the only example. We have many of those examples. And also the buildings itself, the pyramids itself, are aligned with the valley, and not only with the valley, but also with the stars or with the planets that are visible at a certain time of the year. So far is what we know from Teotihuacan, but there are other cultures like the Aztecs that are more recent, that we have more evidence of what kind of archaeoastronomical relationship they had with the culture, with the landscape mostly.
Okay, are there other questions? Let me see, there's one from Rafael Rias. Are there evidences that the dental treatment also remained too expensive even in those old days as it is nowadays?
Yes, the dental treatment in that time, it was very expensive. That's why, for example, even that we found, I'm gonna put you the slide of the woman. We found the skull of this woman, and it was not only the dental treatment, as you can see here, they removed the central incisive. They replaced it with jade. That jade is a very, very rare rock, and it was very precious for them because it represented water, and it was brought from Central America, almost 3,000 kilometers from there. And not only that, this woman had her teeth carved and drill the upper incisives to place pyrite inside. So when it was new and not in the process of oxidation, as you can see here, it shined like gold. So it was not something very common. It was someone from high status that by some reason ended at this neighborhood, and it was not buried in the best condition. It was very old for the time. It was 46 years old. In that time, it was being 80 right now. But it was very expensive.
So thank you very much. I think we will finish the talk. There are no more questions. Well, thank you very much for this nice talk.
I have a quick question here.
Thank you so much.
And for
Hello,
the others,
Steven.
see us tomorrow, no?
I have a quick question before we go.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
And I am just setting up a screen share really quick to go along with it.
So Stephen is an expert in archaeoastronomy.
Oh.
So let's see. Yeah, so I can share my screen now. Yes. Can we see my screen now? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, it wandered a bit. So let me try to fix that again. I don't know why that moved, but maybe this one will work, but I'll just leave it like that. Yeah, I was fascinated listening to your description of everything that you've learned at Teotihuacan. And I was looking and talked a little bit about this yesterday, some of the astronomy that I found there. And I just some of what has been discovered shows that the Avenue of the Dead, the Street of the Dead, is actually slightly off of north by 15 degrees 28 minutes. But the more prominent parts that were brought out were the orientations from like the Pyramid of the Sun for sunrise on February 12th and October 30th, and the sunset on April 30th, August 13th. But then down at Quetzalcoatl, they had slightly canted for different dates: February 9th, November 1st, May 3rd, August 11th for sunrise and sunset. And then it was shown that these dates all were very much proportional around the year to each other. So it showed that it was a very definite orientation, like you mentioned, that they laid out the city. So I was just wondering if you had encountered some of these dates for sunrises and sunsets and such at these sites yourself in your research so far.
No, I haven't done that, but it's quite curious because there's a site not so far from there. It's around 70 miles, no, 50 miles from there. That is called Xingu. And it's quite curious because it's from Teotihuacan people. It was built in the same style, but they have these markers in the ground and in the rocks. And one of those markers is possibly from an event that happened around the 4th or 5th century, that according to the archaeology that they're working in the site, is possibly marking a supernova event. I don't quite know about that. It's possibly also represented in Teotihuacan because we have different markers, but those markers were not in the city itself, but they were placed in the mountains as petrograph.
Very interesting.
Maybe you can connect.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, let me get this out of here. But I found your talk fascinating, and I really enjoyed listening to everything that you presented to us.
Obviously, if you come back in Mexico in the near future, I can give you a talk of 3-4 hours and walking in the sun. That would be better to see everything.
No, that would be excellent.
Next year we will repeat this conference in Mexico City, and hopefully it will presential. So let's see what is going on, no? In the next year.
Of course, it will be a pleasure.
Thank you very much. So herewith I declare closed the meeting for today. So to the others, you will see us tomorrow morning, no?
Yes.
I ask for the speakers to be there in time at 7:30.
I have something to say. I sent a few minutes ago to the members of the organizing committee the program for tomorrow, okay? The daily version, layout version. So please take a look and tell me if you find any mistake. And also for Stephen is important because he has to allow people to enter as panelists, yes? So we have the emails of everybody in the parallel sections and so on. Okay? Good to see Aurora.
I will look at it after the lunch.
Hello.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye all.
It's working, yeah? Don't think so?
Yes, another good day.
Yes. Please take a look on the material I sent to you, if it's okay. Otherwise, I make corrections. If you need.
For me at the end.
Yes, I sent a few seconds ago. The title is Daily Program, September 8th.
Layout of the program.
Yeah, the layout of the program.
I received it.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the surface here, it all looks good, Cesar. I can't find any immediate. I can't spot any immediate problem.
Okay. Okay. So also tomorrow, you are the host, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
You and I together.
Yeah, we're together.